Hey guys, welcome on into this video. Hope everyone's doing well. So, a little bit of a different video today for our I Have Never Played series entry. So, for the World at War map remasters in BO1, so that's Nacht, Verrucht, Shinonuma, Durice, remastered into BO1. I didn't want to go through and play through those maps as I've done before with World at War because we just did them and they're not too much different besides graphical updates and weapons and adding mule kick in the maps. So I didn't want to go through and play all of them. Guys, feel like that'd be a little bit of overkill. So instead, I just want to kind of talk through this video and give my thoughts on the 4 maps because I did play through them, as you can see here on your screen. I did record gameplay of me just playing through them for the first time because I haven't played those, and that's why I wanted to make sure we at least touched on it because I wanted to give my thoughts on it and sort of first impression. So I guess I'll just start from Nacht and go all the way to Durice and just kind of give my thoughts. So Nacht and Toten, playing this on the BO1 engine, number one, feels really good because you don't have to worry about the zombies kind of sucking you in as they do in World at War. They're also a little bit more efficient in terms of the pathing logic that they use in this game. But I would say that in this game, it seems as if the inclusion of mule kick just for the sake of including it in this map, that's kind of the stuff they try to add here. It makes sense for this map, but I also feel like it would make more sense if they just went ahead and included at least Juggernog or at least Quick Revive, right? I know it's supposed to be the bare bones experience, but when you're thinking about this map and trying to think about enhancing it, I think that at least adding one of those 2 other perks in here would probably be a good addition for this map. It's still it's a well done map. They kind of hold on to and keep capturing the essence of Nacht in and of itself. It's a little bit less so on the horror and the isolation vibe that we get from World at War, because I feel like something about the way they did the graphics in that game is just very unique. So I wanted us to kind of think about the perk situation there, because when you're playing through this map and you get mule kick, the only reason you're getting it is because World at War in general, that map, it's like, okay, we had our guns from the box and we're going to run out of ammo, so mule kick is supposed to solve that problem for us. But at the same time, I feel like drops are enough frequent in this map for us to not need the mule kick, and also a lot of people end up running at least one wall gun, or at least I do. And for me, I usually go for the Thompson because it's a very surprisingly good wall gun, especially for being an SMG. So I just buy ammo off the wall for that one. Now, I will say adding the Thunder Gun into this map, which I didn't get in the gameplay, but I think that was a good decision for them to do because, again, the ray gun is a great wonder weapon to have in Nacht, and it's really cool and iconic that it was there. But at the same time, having that wonder weapon kind of sort of shoots you in the foot literally, because as you use it, you're giving yourself splash damage, and that's just not going to be good for your playing experience, because you're trying to already train and horde the zombies and survive in this small area, and then the only choice you really have is to shoot right in front of you or right on the floor in front of you, and either way you're going to be getting splash damage on yourself. So I think that having the Thunder Gun, it was a great addition, and that kind of ties back into the perk situation, because you could argue they should have added Quick Revive, they should have added Jug, one of those perks. If you're going to pick one perk, it should be maybe one of those 2. But also, I think a really good contender for adding in a single perk for this map instead of doing mule kick would have been PhD, because you're not buffing the player in terms of revive, you're not buffing the player in terms of health, but adding PhD would actually make that ray gun way more usable and way more valuable for this map, which only enhances the original feeling that you got in World at War Notch, where you get the ray gun and it's a really big deal, right? So you're kind of holding on to that in this map, to where the ray gun is still overpowered and it's the thing you're kind of striving for, but it also keeps you very vulnerable as a player in terms of just how many hits you can take before you down. So I think that would have been a better way to go, in my opinion, for this map. I think PhD is where I lean the most in terms of the perk choice, but I would say that in general, this map is still really well preserved. It works well in BO1. I think the zombie training and grouping logic is a little bit easier. The running is a little bit smoother. You can kind of slip in between a little bit better. So I did have fun playing this map in Black Ops 1. And I would say that I would definitely come back and try it again in here. If I wanted to play Nacht and Toten, of course you can go play World at War for the OG sort of mechanical feel and just kind of experiencing how archaic and classic it is in a good way. But I think Black Ops 1 would be a good way to say, I want to play Nacht in an OG sort of environment without goggle guns, without all the perks, but I want to play it where it's a little bit smoother mechanically and gameplay wise. Then I think Black Ops 1 does serve that purpose. So going into Verrucht, in this gameplay, so I actually felt way better playing this map in Black Ops 1 than I did in World at War. So World at War, obviously it's very iconic for the super sprinter logic, for the Juggernog buffed status in that map. in that game, and I totally understand that. But at the same time, I think that playing Verrucht in World at War is so nerve-wracking and like almost a little too hard. So if you were trying to get into more casual survival maps, I feel like Verrucht is like almost unplayable if you're someone who's like trying to learn and trying to try more maps without having to like get way too deep into all the crazy mechanics that are in some of the other maps in Black Ops 1 that might be a little too overwhelming at first. But I think that in Verrucht and BO1, that really the problem I think is solved really well there, because in Black Ops 1 Verrucht, you not only have the lack of super sprinters, which honestly made my gameplay actually way more comfortable and manageable, but you also have the addition of an extra wonder weapon that you can work with, which, you can argue whether or not it's even, an effective wonder weapon, but at the same time, it's in there, it's at your disposal. And then at the same time, this does add Mule Kick here, which in this map I think makes a lot of sense, because in this map, you're not really staying in kind of one area. You can probably do pretty well, especially if you have more players. But if you're solo in this map, it actually works out really well to do a full map train, which is what I learned after doing my World at War first playthrough. So I think that having Mule Kick in this map is good, because you're not going to be camping by a certain wall by, at least I wouldn't be camping by a certain wall by, because it gets a little too tight. But otherwise, like, this map actually felt a lot better to play in Black Ops 1's engine, and I feel like I was able to go into the higher rounds. And when I say higher rounds, I'm putting air quotes around that, because I only got to the high 10s, but I feel like I was going into those rounds. I was able to get further than I did in World at War, and I feel like I was able to do that in this map, because not only did I use quick revive and make sure to actually use the solo revive capability that it gives you in Black Ops 1, but at the same time, I was also able to get there because I felt like the zombies themselves were more predictable and a little bit more manageable, like I said earlier. So I think the mechanic change is like the really driving force behind this map being a good remaster for Black Ops 1. So I think if I wanted to challenge myself to the extreme and I wanted to face those super sprinters, then I think I would go to World at War, and I wanted to really test the skills. But if I wanted to like play Verrucht and just enjoy the map in and of itself, and I wanted to enjoy the Barebones Survival Classic version of that map, I think this Black Ops 1 Remastered does serve a good purpose there. And of course you have BO3 where you could add in all the extra things, but I'm saying if you just want to go classic, for the most part, Barebones Survival, I think Black Ops 1 does do that without having to like throw you so far deep into the challenge of the World at War version, which can be very overwhelming for people, especially newer players that haven't done the map before, like myself. So those are my thoughts on that map, and I did enjoy it, and I feel like I would be more apt to play this map than I would be to play the World at War version. Okay, so next we have Shinonuma. So this one was interesting because on one hand, I can see some benefits to this remaster, but on the same time, I feel like there wasn't a whole lot added, and actually some things made it worse. So, for example, when I'm playing this map, I noticed that they kept the dogs in there. They have the same health, so you got that same thing where you got to make sure you have a good gun to take care of those dogs without having pack-a-punch. So you do have to make sure you have a strong shotgun, or you have to use the Wunderwaffe, or you have to have a strong machine gun. But I also noticed that when you're using the Wunderwaffe against the zombies, this, of course, like the big difference in this map is you have the, you no longer have that round cap of 24 zombies that all spawn in together. We can just shoot them and it rounds over. Instead, you have the increasing round cap for zombies, and I noticed that when I'm shooting the Wunderwaffe on Black Ops 1, it almost seemed like it killed fewer zombies than it did in World at War. You could still shoot 3 shots and it would take care of the whole horde, is what I ended up discovering while playing this map. But I feel like that kind of almost makes it a little bit difficult, because as you're shooting zombies, trying to get the 3 shots out to kill the whole horde, sometimes it's hard to like time it right, and it's hard to like make sure you're aiming at the right spot in the horde to make sure all of them are getting hit. So you do have to kind of focus a little bit more, which on one hand you could argue is a good thing because it was already such an easy map in general, but on the other hand you could argue that it kind of defeats like the reason that Shinonuma has like the playset does, which is like, hey, this is the easy map for high rounds that is casual, and you jump in and just kind of like turn off your brain a little bit. It's kind of like an easy, have a good time kind of map. So anyways, I enjoyed playing it for those reasons, but on the other hand, I also noticed that when you were kind of going around the map and just kind of trying to have an open mind of like, hey, how's this map different from the World at War version? It really isn't, aside from that from the Wunderwaffe changes. So like, I'm going to find the perks, and there's no real differences in terms of getting the perks, and they're also randomly spawning, and they added Mule Kick upstairs in the spawn room, and you can grab that for sure, and you can do the same thing I mentioned with Verrucht, where you can have the extra gun for the ammo situation. But at the same time, I feel like this map just like didn't change too much other than the zombie horde elimination logic. So I feel like with this map, I would actually rather go play the World at War version, because even though the mechanics for the zombies, like pathing and pulling you in when they try to hit you, is worse on World at War, I think like for the sake of what the map is supposed to be, which is that casual high round map, I think World at War is just like what you're going to be going for. So I think for those reasons, the BO1 Shinonuma remaster, probably not for me, so I don't think I would say that it would be the one I would go to over the World at War version. Okay, so coming into the Derice map remaster for Black Ops 1, this one was interesting. I actually didn't get the gameplay of me doing the Easter egg here in this. I was only going through like the kind of the early rounds, but as I'm playing through and I'm just like unlocking all the teleporters and kind of linking them up and stuff like that, I'm noticing that in my gameplay, there's a lot of spots in the map where I feel like my player is getting caught on the curbs of like different concrete surfaces. It could have been just me and maybe something's off in my settings or something like that, but I noticed that there were these concrete slabs around the power area. So there's one by the zombie barrier, there's one by the mystery box location, there's one by as you're going out towards Speed Cola, and there's one over by the door to the teleporter. I noticed that in all of these spots, you could get caught a little bit if you're not careful. Some of them you kind of have to just like push a little bit with your character against it and he'll like walk up it correctly, but some of them you can't even get over even if you try sprinting on it. And again, it could have been something with my settings, but I don't think it was. So I'm not sure if other people noticed that, or again, it could just be me, but I didn't notice that that was kind of a huge problem in my gameplay on this map. And I noticed that for me, at least, when I was trying to train the zombies and kind of manage them together, I would get myself kind of thrown off, because as I'm playing the game, I'm making a loop and I'm trying to train them up to get some kills or something, I'd get caught on one of those slabs and then it would completely mess up my strategy trying to path them in the right direction. So I ended up getting cornered because of that and dying in my gameplay. But anyway, so other than that though, I think they really did a good job preserving the integrity of the map's design and the graphics, so I can appreciate that for sure. And I also can appreciate that they, everybody knows that this version of Derice does have the fix for the Juggernaut glitch. So I think even just like for that alone, kind of catapults this map up above the World at War version in some ways. However, at the same time, the sound design for some of the areas, like I noticed like the clock ticking wasn't super loud, and like the power electrical area wasn't super loud and stuff. So like they'd probably turn those down or just like got rid of them, and I totally understand that. But at the same time, those are kind of the iconic things about the map that probably a lot of people appreciate from original Derice. And again, because of the Juggernaut glitch in World at War, it's kind of like almost a tie for me. Like I feel like I could go back to original Derice World at War and appreciate it for a lot of things in there, but then I feel like I go back to the Black Ops 1 remaster version where I could appreciate the things they fixed, but also be like, hey, I still want to play the World at War version because there are some other things that I don't like about this version. So anyway, so as I was playing through these, I think my general consensus is that these are all like decent remasters, and I can see how some of them have their place in the general zombies map catalog. But I would say that if I had to rank them, I would say that the Verrucht one is the best, because it does fix a lot of things for me personally that makes me want to play the map more, and a little bit more like helps me learn the map and helps me kind of feel a bit more comfortable and calm like playing the map and not have to worry about the broken sprinters or anything like that. So I think that one's probably my favorite. And then I think number 2 underneath that would probably be the Derice one, because that one has the Juggernaut fix glitch, and I think that's just like massively huge for that map, and it kind of makes the map even more playable than it was before. So that's just in and of itself, like that fix is going to be something that puts it above the others. And then next, number 3 is probably Noct for me. Again, Thundergun adding into the box is huge, but I think, like I said before, having Mule Kick here doesn't really make sense, and instead I think it should have been PhD. That's my personal opinion. But I think that the map is still holds on to the aesthetic really well, and it holds on to the essence of like what the map is supposed to be, which is bare bones, and I'm definitely supportive of that. And then of course at the bottom is Shinonuma. Again, don't really know if it really serves a good purpose and kind of like holds on to the same ethos of what the map is supposed to be, which is that high round casual map. So anyways, I just wanted to kind of make this quick video, kind of just going over it and show you my thoughts there instead of just having you go through play through all 4 maps. So hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'm really looking forward to getting to the next one, which is going to be playing through Die Rise for the first time in Black Ops 2, and that's actually going to be our only map to play through on Black Ops 2. So then we're going to catapult ahead to some other games. But anyways, I enjoyed playing these maps, and hope you guys enjoy this video, and let me know what your thoughts on the BO1 remasters. Do you still play them? Do you see improvements or other cons to them? Like what are the things that you don't like and do like about these maps? So let me know. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.